Hey, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Breaking news, man. Mozzie and the CMG crew get locked up, arrested, man, because somebody popped off rounds in the club that they was at. This was happening in Kansas, man. Shout out to Young Dolph. Everybody coming in. Like this video. Comment down below. Let me know where y'all from and who you rocking with. Are you a PRE fan? Are you a Mozzie fan? Let's go. So basically, they had the whole entourage inside the club. And everything basically went south when Black Youngster started arguing with some other dude who was in the private section. He looked like some type of hustler from the Kansas area or Nebraska area. And basically, they came in with this whole entire attitude that Mozzie and Black Youngster and the whole CMG was just going to run the whole town out the club and everything. So when the dude came up, he was spending money. He was spending money and they wouldn't get out the way and wouldn't let him go to the area that he was supposed to be paying for and everything like that. Because they felt like it was too many of these street dudes close to them. They don't know where they are in Kansas. They don't know who is in Nebraska that could be doing things. And so they got scared of the dude because he had money and he had a whole team and was literally front row. And as soon as they locked eyes and literally stood each other up, like he sized them up. And that's when Black Youngster's homie came flying in with an elbow. Then the dude behind him picked up the chair. They started going in at it. One dude jumped off the top of some other dude's shoulder and they threw him into the CMG crowd. They threw him in sideways. He wiped out like 3-4 dudes, man. Next thing you know, they put Black Youngster in a half Nelson, and he started screaming for help, man. They picked him up in the half Nelson, and since Black Youngster's only 5'11", his feet was dangling on the ground and everything like that. And so what's basically going on is that at that very moment, Mozzie looked at his hitter, and his hitter pulled out everything, and they just started spraying because at this point, they was trying to help Black Youngster because he was about to get snatched up by the Nebraska hustlers. And so this is a real situation where as soon as they seen that CMG chain and the dude started getting an attitude with them, they knew that they wasn't going to be able to work nothing out in that club, man. The promoter set him up because he knows for a fact that these hustlers and everything that was in Kansas, they don't care if you from CMG. They don't care if your Gotti is your boss and Zebo's your boss. In the Midwest, they run things a whole different type of way, man. You got to come with this type of respect. So, of course, when Black Youngster starts arguing with the dude in the club and Mozzie's hitter sees that, of course he's going to do something about it, man. Mozzie cousin isn't just going to sit there and let Black Youngster get put in a headlock until he go to sleep, man. Because if they do it to Black Youngster, then they're going to do it to Mozzie. And this is Mozzie blood cousin, so he's not going to let anything go down like that. He snuck into the club with the Drake. He went through the back. They let him in because they said that was the manager. Now, one thing you got to understand is that the only reason they stay so long is because the promoter got to give him the other half of the money. And in order to get that other half of the money, they have to perform the show. The whole altercation happened right before the performance was supposed to start. So they never got to do the whole performance. Mozzie cousin was quick. Trigger finger was itchy. Black Youngster was in trouble. He was about to have his whole cover blown. And don't forget, while this is all happening, the feds are sitting across the club watching because they're in stakeout mode right now. None of them noticed, but the patrons in the club who's sitting in the way back ordering drinks from the bar and not actually coming into the club side where the DJ is, they're the feds. They watch this whole thing go down. And that's why the first responders were so quick on the scene because they had the watch command RV in the back with the whole feds in it because this was a CMG move. You got to understand that everywhere CMG goes, the feds are following them with them because they know things like this are going to pop off. Now they have to throw Mozzie into the RICO. This is a whole thing that Black Youngster just made the situation worse for everybody. This is the reason why Jay-Z told Yo Gotti he got to get rid of Black Youngster because it was a matter of time until they go to another event, they go to another show, somebody recognized that they CMG dudes, and a lot of people riding for Dolph, especially because Dolph from Chicago, and you got to understand where they at. It's direct links with all these cities, especially with through the hustlers. They be moving. They got motion going on. So they didn't understand that Black Youngster should have never had that attitude with the dudes, because that's what got him picked up and dangled and thrown around like a rag doll. And if Mozzie's cousin wasn't there, imagine what would have happened? The feds would have had to come in and save Black Youngster, and that would have blown his cover, and the whole entire Kansas would have known that Black Youngster and the feds was moving like a unit, because of the fact that they trying to protect the state witnesses and the state corroborators, because there's about to be a Young Dolph trial that starts in 18 weeks. And so while everybody's getting prepped for it, they can't have nobody from CMG go down like that, because they need everyone to be there when they tell on Yo Gotti and when they tell on Govan and Big Jook, because at the end of the day, all these people is informants. And so when they seen Black Youngster in the trouble, the feds called and said to had the people on standby. So as soon as the dude fired off in the club and he tried to run out that back exit, but the security guards tried to wrestle him down, he dropped the blick and it went scraping around all the way down the back entrance, the back exit to the loading docks. And that's where the feds was already waiting. They went up the ramp. The garage door opened up. SWAT unit went up the ramp. They already, boom, cuff Mozzie cousin. They come around, pick up the blick, walk in through that back door. The Samoan security guards get out the way. And that's when they see Black Youngster getting dusted off and everything like that. They see Mozzie right there. They see a couple CMG chains and a couple dudes from the entourage. And that's when they knew to take him in, and they put Black Youngster head down and rushed him back out and into the RV, and they all drove out. And because the whole thing is the fact that it could have been more people coming on the way to send more hits and everything like that. You don't know who is around there, especially since Mozzie cousin just dumped off a whole clip in there, like 50 round, almost a whole 50 round, man. And this is why they took Black Youngster out. Now they banned from that Kansas venue. They can't come back. The feds had to rush him to safety because it could have been 100 people on the way to slide. At this moment, you got to understand that it's people who are trying to slide for Dolph. It's people who are just trying to get back. It's a lot of connections between, and there's a lot of people who they just don't like getting a attitude in their face like that, especially when you're in a place where you in somebody else's city, you didn't check in with nobody, you didn't actually tap in with no people in the area, so you unknown. Nobody even know that they there, so they should be lucky. Black Youngster is lucky to even be moving around and made it out that situation, because if it would have been 1 inch to the left, he would have got caught, man, and it would have been a body right there, and this whole entire thing would have been turned on his side. Because one thing you got to understand is that Black Youngster wasn't even supposed to be with the CMG guys. They signed the thing saying there's a restraining order going on and that none of the CMG people could be around with each other. Just like how Lil Durk and King Von wasn't supposed to be around with each other. These type of things keep happening to all the rappers. They don't want them around each other because they know how the envy, the jealousy, the greed, the egos is going to cause them all to spaz out and crash out and do something dumb and make it to where the feds come and have to lock everybody up, or it's going to ruin the chance of whoever's been getting the money, and it's going to make it so that they stop doing that, especially when they start fighting in the clubs like this and the promoters aren't going to want to book them no more. Who's going to want to do a show when Mozzie cousin has to spray up the place? They lucky that none of the people who went and bought the tickets and was sitting in the show on the floor in the general admission, he's lucky nothing happened to them, because if even one person got burnt by a shell casing, it would have been over for the whole CMG. The RICO would have went into the civilians now, and it would have jumped off where the feds have to come in before they send in the Secret Service or anybody that's above the feds. So one thing y'all got to understand is that there's a whole revolving door situation, and everywhere that CMG goes, the karma from the Young Dolph situation is going to keep showing up. So people got to understand, this is karma from Young Dolph, man. I want to send my condolences to Young Dolph. Long live Young Dolph, man. And make sure y'all subscribe.